What's up, sports fans, and welcome to the latest edition of the OH.Report video podcast, where me and my crew of cronies here, we kind of just break down all the latest news and information from the playing surfaces out there in our own backyard and even beyond. My name is Brian. I'm the host, but I'm joined by the three little piggies, as always, including the one and only big league Travis Berardi here in the flesh. Got that goatee coming in real solid now, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Loving
I
the
got
look.
to try and look like you, man. You got
You got a little ways to go.
Going on. I know.
You got the grown man beard going. And then over here to my right, how about Garrett G-Man Parlett?
How's it going, guys?
Always flashing those beautiful eyes. And then a guy so cool he doesn't even need a nickname because his name's so awesome. How about Storm Blunchley?
Thanks, guys.
Wow. A lot of energy from the crew here today already. We are fired up to talk. And, you know, I saw some girls that were pretty fired up along with Travis the other night. We were over in Worcester taking in a girls soccer match between Clear Fork and Ontario. It was a great match. Lady Colts actually beat them, but the rivalry, even in the summertime, kind of got me thinking about some of the best ones that we have right here in our own backyard of Richland County. So we'll begin down here at the end. Travis, fill me in. Who do you think has the best combo matchup, the best rivalry right here in Richland County?
Well, it's an old school rivalry that is being renewed now. They played last year. It's Clear Fork and Lucas.
Oh, yeah.
They played a really good game week one. You know, you had the weather delay and everything, but with COVID, but, you know, these teams are meeting back on the field again. Clear Fork and Lucas, that was a scrap-out rivalry back in the day, and just that it's renewed. That rivalry is going to be renewed. I think it's going to come back with a vengeance, and they're just going to go at it for the next few years. And I like the fact that they're coming back because, you know, it's great for the area.
The Battle of the Valley, and I think they both argue what's the prettier place during the fall time. I think that could be a little rivalry head-to-head, too. G, what you thinking?
Well, Brian, I've always stated my first game I covered at the OH.Report was Ontario versus Lexington, so I'm going to stay there and pick that. I mean, both student sections were going back and forth, and I don't want to repeat on air what they were saying to each other because it was some pretty bad stuff. But it was definitely exciting just to get out there, and I'm excited for fans to get back in the stands this season, and I'm hoping to be at that Lexington-Ontario game to see that rivalry again.
Absolutely. We'll make sure that we're both there, G. It was a good time. We kind of renew us all coming together, maybe the trio here. We'll get back out there to Ontario and Lex. How do you feel, Storm?
Well, it's Crestview versus everyone. Of course, I got to roll with Crestview versus everyone, but especially versus Plymouth, those big red. I don't want to say some of the things we used to call them in school. We used to have some pretty distasteful words for the big red. And I'm calling you out, Jake, for your big red. Don't stand a chance versus Crestview this season.
So the Cougs versus everybody, literally. You need to get one of those T-shirts made. They're becoming very popular. And for me, I think I got to go with Lexington versus Mansfield Senior Boys. And it's just two communities that are quite a bit different, genuine disdain for one another. And when they get out to the playing surface, there's a lot of smack talk in between those lines, some choice words, again, that we can't repeat on this program, even though we are the internet. But you just don't want to hear them out there, parents. So I got to go with Mansfield and Lexington, and it's for all the sports. Football, they're usually pretty good. You know, got that OCC feel in that rivalry, too. Basketball, boys hoops, always a stellar competition. And now the Lady Tigers are on the way up and the rise, and girls basketball, too. So look for that one to be even more fun as the years continue to go along. Let's stick with fall sports, and it's coming up right around the corner. The first practices begin next week, boys. So for here at OH.Report, we cover quite a few schools, even outside of Richland County. So the noggin's running again, and I'm wondering, who are you most excited to see and cover this year?
Well, I don't want to be too cliche. I won't say Crestview again. I'd say I'm probably the most excited to see those Shelby Whippets. They got a lot of good returning talent. I know they graduated. Owen Fisher, of course, that's a big hit. But I still think that they're going to be one of the elite schools to watch around here, and I think they're going to make a really deep playoff run. And I'm definitely excited to see, you know, how the Shelby community comes back with, you know, they're being allowed to be fans. So I'm definitely excited for the Shelby Whippets this season.
And they got the Red Rage that's going to be back in one of the best student sections that we have, period, in the entire area, if not the state.
Yeah, I want to say Crestview again, but I'm not going to, but I am excited to see Crestview. Okay, I got to put it out there.
Hayden Kuhn, does he have the goods like Big Bro?
Exactly. Ross Kuhn gone, Evan Hamilton. The offense is going to be a little different. But I'm going to go with Mansfield Senior. Me and Storm seen them at their 7-on-7, and they knocked off some tough schools. They beat DeSales. I believe they beat Akron St. Vincent St. Mary, too. So they were looking pretty top-notch. They got a lot of athletic guys on the outside that Brock Hill's, slinging it around. So I'm going to go with the Mansfield Senior Tigers this year in football.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about that 7-on-7 and another one that you guys attended here in just a minute. But for now, the stage is yours, Mr. Northmore. I'm going to be shocked if it's not the Golden Knights, I must say.
Actually, you will be shocked because I was just thinking about this, and I was at that Lucas 7-on-7 a week and a half ago. The East Knox Bulldogs, football. They were a young team last year, weren't supposed to do too much, got into the playoffs because of COVID and everything, but they actually made it back to the regional quarterfinal where they lost a tough game to the Shady Side Tigers. But you know what? They bring back all their skill positions. They bring back their quarterback, their defensive backs. And I think, they're going to make another run at a possible regional championship, maybe back to that Final Four again as they did 2 years ago. But, I'm most excited to see East Knox. And I do got to shout out Northmore, too. They bring a lot back. But East Knox, the Bulldogs, I'm looking forward to calling their games this year.
Well, you're looking forward to the Bulldogs on the gridiron. How about the Lady Bulldogs volleyball squad? And I got to give them some love because they didn't get any wins on the OH.Report last year. I believe they were 0 for 9 at home. We caught them on the road a few times, and they racked up approximately 0 dubs. I want to come out there to Howard, Ohio. I want to call a game that the Bulldogs win. I'm definitely looking forward to that. And then the teams that you guys mentioned, too. How could you go wrong with the Shelby Whippets or Mansfield Seniors? Such dynamic playmakers that both of them have this year, particularly on offense. I think the question mark for both of those teams are going to be, are their big guys good? Do you see the guys that Shelby graduated? I think they got about 3 of them that are going to the NFL at some point here in the near future. Them were some big boys that they just lost. Can they plug and play and get some new bodies in there? And same with the Tigers. They got some big dudes, but they're not necessarily strong. At least I saw at the Ontario 7-on-7, at least in the weight room. So we'll see how that all comes together. But let's stick with the pigskin and tell me a little bit more about the 7-on-7. What was your impression of the Tigers?
Well, Brian, I can't answer that lineman question for you about Crestview. They struggled. They struggled pretty mightily up at the lineman challenge. Coach Avidal didn't want me to mention it, but I had to. I believe they got like second to last or something.
I think they came in last.
They're more of a athletic bunch
Yeah.
than they're not big guys. They're more quick on their feet. So that's the way Coach Avidal likes to have it. I mean, he's up there conditioning them a lot. So I mean, the linemen didn't look as good as the skill guys, but the skill guys dominated. I believe they tied with Norwalk up there. They beat teams like Madison, competed with they dominated Plymouth. So there's your rivalry storm. So Crestview, they look pretty good up at Norwalk. I believe it was really Norwalk and Crestview. Madison had a few good highlights. Madison and Crestview were going back and forth. So it was pretty entertaining, but the linemen were fun to watch. I know Storm got to see a lot of them.
Yeah, I definitely did. I believe that you asked about the Tigers, though.
That's okay. Cougars and Tigers.
My bad.
They're both in the cat
My bad.
creature.
So I'll talk about both of them, but for the Tigers, it was very impressive. I know the season hype is real for them, and I was a little bit skeptical about it, but, man, seeing those Tigers out there, they're just the most athletic bunch of guys I've seen in a while. And for the Cougars, Garrett hit it right on the nose. Their linemen – they're going to be fast. They're going to be quick. But their skill guys, once again, both those teams, the Tigers and the Cougars, their skill guys are phenomenal this year.
So maybe for each team might be a lot of quick passes, getting into the hands of their playmakers right away, and just making sure that speed kills, of course, boys.
Exactly.
On the offensive line, sometimes that works too, getting to that next level, right, G-Man?
Right,
Being able to pick out some linebackers?
Definitely. You got to be able to read the defense. You got to get out your stance quick. So they're definitely going to be able to do that. I know they got Mason Ringler, who's one of their bigger guys, and he dominated last year. He started as a freshman. So they got a lot of experience up front. I believe they're only losing one senior, Hayden Morris, from last year. So they'll be fine. They're fitting in the new scheme of the fast offensive linemen, not the big, powerful guys who do the pocket passing. They're more of a run-blocking team anyway.
All right, so that's from the high school gridiron. Let's graduate up to the NFL, Travis, where I believe you were going through Instagram, right? And you saw that there were some pictures posted by Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams of The Last Dance, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. So read between the lines here. What are they actually telling us?
Well, actually, something just broke from ESPN. The Packers are close to bringing back Aaron Rodgers. Agreement once finalized sets up the MVP to leave after this season. He's going to look so good in the black and gold next year in Pittsburgh when he gets done. But, yeah, they're going to have that one last dance. You're thinking Devontae Adams and folks like that, they'll have that one final chance to maybe get past Tom Brady after the coaching debacle in the divisional round last year. But one more time, Aaron Rodgers in the green and gold one more time. We'll see.
He's not even going to win the division.
I mean, yeah, G and Storm being
I'm glad he's
Vikings,
Lions fans, they want to see him go anyway because he's dominated them so much over the past few years, so they'll be happy when he's gone after this year. But one more year for the Packers.
I think the Super Bowl probably runs through Ford Field, doesn't it, Storm? Tell us about those Lions.
There isn't much to say, I'll tell you that much. Hate to say it, but probably going to be the laughing stock of the league
Poverty
once
franchise.
again this year.
Well, it's about time. I mean, Cleveland's been wearing that label for a long time. Thanks for, taking over the banner and keeping on the tradition.
High hopes for Jared Goff, though. Very excited for him.
He went to the Super Bowl.
Went to the Super Bowl. But I think the thing I'm most excited for is actually for Matt Stafford. On First Take, they were talking about maybe he could potentially win a Super Bowl with the Rams. And, as a Lions fan, I would love to see that happen. I want to see him at least get a little bit of recognition because he has always been a great quarterback. But people don't give him the recognition he deserves because, he was on an 0-16 team. So I definitely want to see him blossom into the true all-star quarterback that he is.
And G-Man, just give me a little bit of insight. You're a younger guy. You've never known any other world except for the social media age. Guys like this, full-grown adults, like me and Aaron Rodgers, about the same age here, doing stuff on Instagram where you got to read between the lines. LeBron James, of course, is famous for it. What's your thoughts on athletes at the top level using social media the way that they do, trying to decode it and throw out some messages to get us all talking?
I mean, this is definitely like a cryptic tweet or a cryptic post. I mean, he definitely did this for a reason.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams also posted it, and so did Robert Tonyan, their tight end, posted a picture of Dennis Rodman. So I think they're blowing it up. I mean, I think it's completely over. Stephon Diggs, the Vikings' old receiver, did the same kind of stuff with the cryptic tweets and the hinting he wants to leave. So, I mean, I think it's done. I don't really know why he's coming back this season. I should just left. I mean, well, what's the point of this? I mean, it's already over.
One last dance, I guess, right?
I mean, I guess Devontae Adams' contract is up after this year, so A-Rod's gone, and I could not be happier to get him out of my division, man. I'm so excited. The division's ours. I don't even think they're going to beat us this year, so I'm not really worried about it.
Browns fans, we just hope he just stays in the NFC.
But what you were saying about using social media, that's what players are using now as kind of like a bargaining chip because they're not happy if they're saying, they don't want to give me this contract. It gets the fans on their side and against the teams, and that gives them that extra bargaining chip, maybe to get out, get a trade, or get that contract. So social media has really, become a huge thing in pro sports just because it gives the players a chance to, I guess, kind of.
They like the troll.
Yeah,
they're being
they
trolls.
like the troll, and then they like to get, contract talks and other things on their side by, just bashing their.
They like a little bit of
bosses.
drama. Especially them wide receivers, man. They're divas.
They know what they're doing.
They're divas.
All right. Well, if you guys were on Twitter or any social media yesterday at about, 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, you saw a lot of hate mail coming in for Team USA basketball, who lost for the first time since 2004 when we had that baby squad out there. You remember it was when Carmelo and LeBron and the boys were just coming into form. That was the last time that they lost an Olympic game. France took them down yesterday in a way that kind of hurt my feelings a little bit. Blowing it in the fourth quarter, I didn't really understand the personnel on the floor at the end of the game. When I look at the roster as a whole, I don't quite understand how they built it this way or why they did it, Greg Popovich and his staff. So tell me, G-Man, should I be genuinely concerned for Team USA basketball? It just seems like it's not in a great place.
I mean, they've lost like 3 in a row, haven't they? They've lost a few expedition games
4.
too. So, I mean, it's not like they just lost in a blue moon. Didn't they? France had a 16-2 run. So, and I seen that Luka Doncic, he had 48 points. He had more of the Team USA starting 5 for Slovenia. So, I think it's definitely time to worry. I mean, losing 3 out of the last 4. Dame Lillard said that each player for their country, they play a little bit harder, but I feel like maybe USA, they should play a little bit harder. I feel like they're just playing a little lackadaisical, little ISO ball.
Yeah,
it's not going to work. I mean, they're playing for their country. They're competitive. They want to win it just as much as they do. So maybe it's time for USA. Pick it up. We need this dub, baby.
American players, obviously, the NBA is the height of all basketball, and most Americans that are playing on Team USA typically are from the NBA. I don't know, Storm. I think what G-Man just said, other countries just play harder because it's probably the top flight level that they'll ever play at. So for Americans, do we go with some younger guys? What are you thinking? Because the lineup that we had in yesterday at the end of the game with Bam Adebayo, Kevin Durant just slinging up some threes. At least Drew Holiday was taking over the game there for a while. And who would have thought on the Olympic team Drew Holiday was going to be our go-to force in the fourth quarter? Maybe do we need to look at this a little bit differently?
Yeah, it's definitely difficult, especially because all that stuff is voluntary. When you play for Team USA, it's voluntary. So obviously, you're never going to see LeBron James play for another Team USA or guys like that. And the big problem with them is, excuse me, they don't really have a true center. They got JaVale McGee. He's a big dude. But when you think of NBA centers, you don't think of JaVale McGee.
No.
So it's really tough for them.
Shaq
Bam Adebayo, I believe, is like one of those hybrid centers. I believe he's only like 6'9", 6'10". He's a smaller guy. And the game is just so much more different. International play is so much more of a team-based play. Where over here in America in the NBA, it's you give it to your star. And that's the thing I think Team USA is running into. They don't really have team chemistry. They don't really know what it's like playing with all these different guys. So it's just going to be really difficult for them to adjust. But if they do and they finally get clicking on all cylinders, they're going to be deadly. But I'm ringing the alarm right now. I'm a little worried for Team USA.
Definitely.
No question about it. All right, so let's just nix the basketball talk, Travis, because you've actually been taking in a lot of the Olympics. Yeah. What should we be watching? Where are the Americans good?
There's actually quite a few sports where they just won their first gold medal. Women's taekwondo, we were just talking about, because Natalie Hirschberger, one of her teammates, actually won. An 18-year-old won the first ever taekwondo gold medal a couple days ago. I was back in West Virginia, so just relaxing, watching. Water polo is a fun sport. I mean, first, you have to tread water. You can't touch the bottom at all while you're playing. There's people throwing elbows at each other. You're throwing pretty much like a soccer ball full speed at a goalie, so at their face. They don't have much for headgear or anything like that. So that's a fun sport. The men and women, I believe, are undefeated. 3-on-3 basketball making its debut. The U.S. men's squad did not make the Olympics, but the women's squad, bunch of WNBA players just dominating. Right before I came here today, they beat China on a last-second 3, 21-19. It's ones and twos. It's just like how we play in the backyard. How when me and Brian dominated you guys over Memorial Day.
Brian dominated
dunk
us.
ball, pretty much that way. But sports like that. I watched a little fencing. U.S. got a gold medal in fencing. But there's a lot of sports that we don't talk about except for during the Olympics, and it's quite entertaining to watch some of that stuff. And I'm glad you cut me off for basketball because I'm not happy about them right now.
It's hard to be happy with the product that we're seeing out there.
France outworked them in the last 5 minutes, and that's why they won.
They just kept jacking up threes at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Broke my heart. All right. Speaking of breaking hearts and moving on and all that kind of stuff, a couple of teams, some big-time college programs actually going to be moving to the SEC. Surprise, surprise. Looking like Texas and Oklahoma said today that in 2025 they are going to be moving to a new conference. Is this a good thing for college sports? Travis, we'll let you go first.
Well, the realignment has begun once again, because once that media contract is up with the Big 12 and everybody else with ESPN, those two teams are moving. That means the Big 12, everybody's leaving. They're talking right now, West Virginia going to the ACC, Kansas State, Iowa State maybe to the Big 10. Pac-12 maybe taking Oklahoma State, something like that. But these big other Power 5 conferences are going to try to load up on these other Big 12 teams just to make it equal, just to try and stick with the SEC, which is the best football conference in college football. Big 10 right behind them, then maybe the ACC and Big 12. But, it's crazy. We thought once the alignment happened, 10 years ago, that would be it. But no, Oklahoma and Texas, even though they are the cream of the crop in the Big 12, and it's them battling for a spot in the college football playoff every year. I don't know why they wanted to move to the SEC, but now they are, and now they're just playing to see who can fight for second place behind Alabama. It's shocking, but now we're gonna have all this alignment once again, and it's just gonna be crazy the next couple years to see who gets moved from other conferences now just because of these two squads.
Can you envision a time, Storm? Right now we got the Power 5 conferences where it gets shrunk down to like the Power 4. That's kind of feeling like the evolution that I'm seeing, just bigger and more opportunities to play different teams on the schedule.
I'm not a big fan of it, to be honest. I think it kind of just dilutes the pool. You're making better teams play worse schools. I like how it is now. I feel like the competition is right where it should be, unless you're Michigan, of course, which you're playing Ohio State every year and getting your behind handed to you. But other than that, I like the conferences how they are. I think it's just very good competition wherever you look. And I think if you mix it up, it's just going to be better teams playing the bottom of the conference. It's just going to be a lot more blowouts and things like that. So I don't know. I don't really understand the mix-up or anything. So I would just prefer it stay how it is.
Yeah, it used to be that your conferences were set up based geographically on where you are in the region, but not so much anymore, G-Man. Do you like it that some teams from Texas going up against schools that are in Florida and then Alabama in conference games, or do you wish we could just go back to the good old days?
Well, I mean, I see Oklahoma. I mean, they have a reason to go to the SEC, but I don't think – what has Texas done in the last 10 years since Colt McCoy left and went to the Browns? Well, I mean, they've done nothing. They don't even deserve the opportunity to go there. They're going to get – unless it changes. I mean, we got 4 years, so anything can change, but Alabama's going to whop them. I'm just tired of seeing Alabama play the Citadel. I think that's week 9. I mean, I don't know how that happens when we're playing better teams, but that's just my opinion. Not to get opinionated here, but – I mean, I agree with Storm. I think it's – I mean, I've heard Oregon going to the Big Ten, and then Oregon State. Pac-12 is going to be gone too. It's going to seem like it's going to be the SEC, Big Ten, and the ACC. So we might have three big conferences here in a few years. But, yeah, I don't really like the move at all. Not at all.
I'm kind of with you, man. It kind of feels to me like it would be like OH.Report if we're streaming – New York high school athletes. You know what I mean? Like,
isn't that like the main plan to take over the country, though, Brian?
Eventually, I guess, but just kind of stay in your lane and in your region. I think that's what makes it fun is the recruiting battles that you're going up against the states that are right around you. When you have to leapfrog 4 states and hop in a jet to go play a conference game, it just dilutes it a little bit for me. I think the bigger conferences, too, I don't really like. I like 10 schools, 12 schools kind of seems perfect. When we're starting to get into 16, and hell, it might be even be 24 in the SEC before too long. It's just one too many teams, I think, all competing in there, like Storm said. There's going to be not as much parity in there. The top's going to be playing the bottom. You just can't get around it at that point. So
it takes away rivalries, too. I mean, growing up in Colorado, Nebraska, big after Thanksgiving Day when the Big East was still around. You had West Virginia Pitt. Ohio State, Michigan is still on because of the Big Ten, but Texas A&M, Texas. That's no longer because Texas A&M moved to the SEC. All these rivalries are gone just because of, well, what the BCS screwed up everything, and then now with the college football playoff. But, all these old rivalries because of regional areas and stuff like that. And I miss the mid-'90s when everything was, you played teams in your area. You don't have to travel 500 miles to your closest away game like West Virginia has to do. Ohio State going to Oregon for a conference game. That would just be crazy.
It just doesn't fit together. It's
No.
not like peanut butter and jelly at all. These guys don't even remember the 90s. They weren't even born yet. But I think let's
Good
go
old
ahead
days.
and wrap up the show. Maybe go throw on some CDs and hop in
Play
our
my Game Boy.
Volkswagens and play our Game Boys. And
Dory
just
back here to
get
play
on
on our
Nacho fries.
Tamagotchi, feed the cat.
Yeah, I'm going to go play with my Chia Pet. Thanks for listening to us, though, today, guys. And we'll be back with another episode next week. So long for now.
Bye, guys.